All right, hello, this is the 10th Nixpkgs architecture team meeting. As always, recorded on YouTube. Oh, I was getting distracted by my own voice in the YouTube stream. But yeah, let's being recorded on YouTube again, live streamed. I'm gonna record it today. I'm also trying to take meeting notes and gonna lead the meeting. So administrative, I don't think we have anything there. Well, so we tried to find a time for all the members last week that works for all of them. So we decided to move the meeting 2 hours earlier. But apparently 3 of the 5 members aren't going to join today anyways. So that's not great. But yeah, let's see if it works in the future. Or otherwise we might have to find a better time again. So standard-wise, so for myself, I, since last week, created this poll on Discourse to figure out how many people are actually using the GitHub feature that allows you to dig into directories, to see whether we should maintain this ability if we do a flat file hierarchy for the AutoCAL packages RFC. So main discussion point there, should we do sharding or not? Where sharding means prefixing all the putting the hello package in the HE directory, for example, so that there isn't a huge file listing with all the attributes. Both of the flat hierarchy and the sharding has advantages and disadvantages. One disadvantage with flat one is that you can't click on most of these directories anymore in GitHub. And so I made this poll to see how many people are actually using that. I'm going to link it on in the channel as well. And so how it looks like for now, I guess I can share my screen real quick. Or actually not, I can't share this window for some reason. Oh, no, there we go. Can you see the screen?
No.
No, okay. Oh, it might work now.
It works.
Yeah, so results are pretty much that people do indeed use that. So we have a lot of people use it every week, that feature. So it does have some weight to it. And it's just interesting to see what people are using it for. And I mainly created these separate categories here. So the reason people are using it, so we know whether parts of this could be replaced by others. Reusing the definition, checking out the definition could be replaced by Nixedit, for example. Shareable URL, we might create a tool for creating a shareable URL and announce that. And this way we can kind of gauge the impact to different people. But yeah, that's, let's see. Oh, the camera doesn't want to turn on again anymore. But yeah, so that's what I did. Does anybody else have any other updates they want to mention regarding the Nixpkgs architecture? All right. So
I think one of the comments is particularly striking to me. Well, if you read whose comment was that? Let me find it. Well, I can find it, obviously. Bu was saying that you can use like T to just access the file by name, which like is faster and also works when there are too many directories. So maybe we can teach people that trick.
Yeah, that's indeed, yeah. It is. So I had that in mind before as well. It's still going to be a slight reteaching at least, and it's going to work a bit different. But yeah, that is like a very good alternative. So I think I'm like very split on this issue. I'm really not sure whether it should be sharded or just a flat hierarchy. There are some, so there's the performance argument is the other one. And so Nix might be really slow to assemble the packages attribute set if there's sharding going on, because it needs to list a lot of directories to create the final attribute set, instead of just being able to list one directory. But then again, Git might be slower with like a directory with thousands of files in it.
Does the future work of supporting this with a nested package set impact what might be possible or elegant with regards to sharding?
So you mean like for Python packages, for example?
Correct, because now it's a little bit unclear. Well, do you like what is being sharded on? Do you shard on the final adder name? Do you shard on the first one? Do you have subdirectories? Right. So the sharding makes some of that. Some of the sharding is only kind of very applicable if you have only that one top level that this is used for. But if we're expecting to in the future do this for the nested case, that might help help us make a decision.
Yeah, I think right for now the idea is just to do top level attributes, but in the future we probably want to use package sets too. And I don't have a good answer to that. But yeah, I guess if we were to like create, so there's this idea to create like move all packages into a single namespace, and so all package sets as well, and kind of do it like this. And then of course the directories would get bigger and sharding might have to change a bit. But no, I don't have a good answer to that myself.
Another way to think about it is sharding a property of a package set? It just happens to be that the top level is just the top level one, and all the other package sets are would have a similar auto underneath them.
Yeah, that's. I guess I kind of thought of it as it could work in that way. That would be fairly simple to do. Just you could even nest it. You could say packages / auto is the top level set, but then packages / auto / Python packages contains all the Python packages, and then under that you can have another auto directory which gets called in that way, and that might work fairly nicely actually. Yeah. But I think there's like a lot of questions like these, which I think would be better to address in the future. I also put down a lot of these in the RC draft, where we can do a lot of other things. So another thing is let me quickly share my screen again. Another thing is so currently the RC just says definitions of the form key equals call package, some file, and then an empty attribute set get convert to like moving the file to auto or packages / auto / key. But what about if we have a call package, some file, and then some attributes. So I looked a bit into Nixpkgs to see what kind of, so a lot of times there's just an empty one. Sometimes there's more here. And so one common one is, for example, for Darwin, we have something Darwin Darwin.apple SDK.libraries or something, or let's call them libraries, then like core foundation or something like that.
Framework.
Framework, yes. And so this, while it doesn't, so the RFC says if it is of that form, it can be transformed to that. But for these kinds of cases, it's kind of easy to change it to this form, where you can, in the sum file default.nix, you can just have a Darwin
question
argument.
mark. Yeah.
Yeah, and then a core foundation Darwin.apple SDK framework or foundation.
Yep.
So that works. There's other examples where it doesn't work as well. So one of them is like, what if there's different versions? So Python equals Python 3. So this is kind of not great. We don't really want to change this. Well, I don't think we want to change this because the kind of overriding interface of this package should be, it's weird to have versions for that. So I think that would be better to stay like this and be addressed in a different issue where we take a look at the versioning in Nixpkgs.
Yeah, that's solving those and cleaning up all those up should not be conflated with this.
Yeah. Something else. Well, there's also just like definitions that are very different. So like aliases is a big one. So we have like Python packages equals Python 3 packages. Not the actual definition. The actual one is a bit weirder. But this we also can't do right now. But there's a lot of these. And also there's sometimes overrides where you have some override at the end.
Yeah, but those are exceptions to the rule, right? So I think a big piece of this is if we make it so that your like all packages.nix is essentially only showing the overrides or the changes from the default behavior, even that would be a massive improvement rather than forcing everything to live there.
Yeah. I think a good end state would be that everything lives in like autocall directories. So you can really, if you want to look at the definition, just go to the file in the auto directory. But yeah, we can. That doesn't have to be done now. And these can be addressed in
something to look into is how does this work with the lazy trees branch? So the lazy trees branch is kind of the whole in-memory zip accessing of things, and there is a benefit of that being done with especially Nixpkgs. But does this mean now that we've kind of thrown away some of the advantage on from that branch? So that's just a test. I'd like to just double check to see, yes, maybe current Nix, not a huge change because it's already splatted out onto disk, but does this do weird things with that branch?
Yeah, sounds like something. Well, I feel like it's not that relevant since it's like this goes into Nix territory, and we don't really want to focus on that. If this structure works really well for Nixpkgs, then Nix should try to make itself work well with it if there are any problems.
Yes, I just mean that if we do performance measurements and then 2 weeks later there's now a different Nix. So just keep in mind that it will be a difference.
Yeah. Yes, that sounds good. All right. And then, I mean, there is a question of what to measure. Robert suggested something, what to measure, specifically for like Git status or ensuring the effectiveness of pack files, of Git pack files. So that's about the sharding, where if we have a huge directory, then Git needs to have Git objects which have all these files in them, and the Git objects changes every time you add a single file, and the Git object will be pretty big. But there's like optimizations in Git which might make that not be a problem. But yeah, that's something to measure. To measure is the Nix performance for assembling the attribute. I think that's mainly it, the Nix and the Git aspect. Right, and then also you mentioned the Nix, like different Nix versions might be good to take a look at. All right. Do we have anything else to discuss about this? Is there any other kind of controversial point about this RFC? Or does anybody have any questions for how something works? If you do, you can either create an issue in the repository here. There's one already, or discuss on metrics. Oh, Alyssa wants to say something, but the mic is broken. All right, I'll read what you have to say from the chat. Once that comes in. So I guess I could create like issues right here. All right, she'll check it first to see if it's still an issue. Otherwise, we'll hear back. And the next lazy trees. She said it's not a problem. But yeah, lazy trees, again, shouldn't be too... We shouldn't focus too much on this, but would be good to check. All right. I also locally have some additional things pointing out here, specifically the thing I wrote down here, like about how this can be converted, but other cases could be addressed in different PRs or different issues. All right, but yeah, I think let's conclude this topic for now then. Otherwise, I don't really have anything to discuss, and we could end the meeting super early. But if someone has something to mention, also from...
Just one question. Is the /auto subfolder supposed to remain forever?
They're unsure yet. Someone suggested that eventually, once all the packages are auto-called, there's no point in having any other directories anymore. So at that point, it could be just like packages/hello default.mix. So doing the move from package/auto.
But then I also understand the point of having some folder, because there are so many things in these packages, like top level things, but like also Python packages, or that could be, yeah. Well, maybe let's like, I think for now it makes sense.
So
It's still a bit strange that we need to name something which is like a placeholder for things that should work automatically compared to the others.
I mean, we have a general convention of the like double underscore as stuff that's kind of hidden away. And that also might help us with the whole kind of dynamic sharding approach, right? You can imagine something like, hey, it's understood that like double underscore whatever means do this dynamic sharding thing. And so that way it's a bit understood that, hey, this has programmatic impact. It's not an arbitrary name.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like, so there is a question about like what is the API surface of Nixpkgs, and so are the directories names the API? Should that be backwards compatible? I feel like they aren't. Like a lot of like you can create any file in Nixpkgs and nobody's really should rely on the specific names it's called. People sometimes do that. But I feel like the existing directories and packages, they already aren't really, they don't really have an API surface like packages/stdinf or packages/packageslib or something like that.
Yeah. So what I could envision is that something like that would allow rebalancing whenever needed, right?
Oh, I see. So
that way we don't have to decide essentially all of it right now, and then as we needed to, you could just be like, oh, generally, the double underscore is just a like, it should be essentially ignored by the human. It's there for balancing purposes only, or like to shard it correctly only, and that like that's not going to impact what the attribute's name is in the end. It's just there for organizational purposes.
but right, you mean something like packages/__ auto?
Yes, and then but like in the future that could be then upgraded to be like, oh, it's double underscore, and then the prefix, right? If we determine we need to do the prefix style.
Oh, I see. So right. So __ auto would be the kind of flat hierarchy, and then __ prefixed would be the sharding, perhaps.
Correct.
Yeah, I have heard the suggestion of using like an underscore or two before for the auto. The idea there was that it's kind of different than the other directories and their packages. So yeah.
I think would that put it at the top of the automatic alphabetical sorting?
Oh yeah, that's true. Although auto is also fairly.
It's fairly
auto, I think, would
early.
also be at the top.
Or I think capital
Actually, no,
A.
it won't. Applications is actually at the top. Although the applications folder would go away after, most likely. All right. So yeah, auto or something like auto is needed for now. But yeah, in the future might be changed or even removed. I'm also gonna write this down here. Yeah, and there is also another idea. So currently this is like limited to call package, but what if we could do that for arbitrary expressions? So like even aliases could easily be done. And you don't like need a lot to make that work. You just need some way to indicate that that these files aren't a package. When you can say it's not a package but just an expression, then you can kind of strip down the call package for those to limit it only to the calling with the arguments and not the whole making the package overridable. So call package both calls it with the next package's arguments, but also makes it overridable using like .override and .override address. And those would be bad for like arbitrary expressions generally. So yeah, that's something for the future.
So an incremental step here would be something like doing a we have some library functions that basically would kind of start to do this work of do the traversal, throw it into the correct place in the adder set, and then the existence of those would basically start to help motivate this as well as usable in other scenarios. So the dir to adders function, like having those sorts of things be a more general usage in the library.
Yeah, so you mean to have that as a motivation for like the arbitrary expressions thing, or just in general moving to this approach?
Well, as we're looking at adopting this for Nixpkgs itself, having that be a library function, so can be used for that as well as other things, is an intermediate step that is far less intrusive because that's just the addition of a library function.
Yeah.
Adopt dir to adders or whatever we're calling it.
Yeah. Library function named Nixpkgs. So it's exposed and can be reused by third parties.
Yeah, because I mean, you see a bunch of people reinventing this function in various places. So
yeah.
Let's just have it as a library thing. Reinvent the wheel over and over again.
I'm sorry. In a sense, that's already what happens for overlays, when you can specify a folder and then it will find all of the subfolders that contain the default.nix, or like files.nix in there if there is one. So there is an opportunity to merge all of these things, and maybe, just maybe, not sure if it can be moved to Nix itself. Well, I mean, when we gain some insight on how this works and if it can be made abstract enough, then getting support from Nix would be tremendous for performance and then for
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think it could be done with the call package, since that's like a very complex function in of itself. It would have to be stripped down a bit, perhaps to like the expression level here.
You can make it an API, like a built-in that just like map folder or something, and then you provide a function that you want to map, or maybe something. I don't know yet, because it's not like the API is not stable. We don't really know what we want right now. Well, we need to check what it looks like and what are the other similar functions that we want to merge together. And then when we get that, at some point, we can get Nix support if it's not fast enough. But it's also like I would not be too much worried about performance, because if it turns out to be so bad that we need Nix support, then we can still get it.
Yeah. I did actually. So like the implementation of this auto calling is actually super simple. Like I was able to implement it in like 5 minutes, at least the flat hierarchy. And that's pretty much just like built-in read dir, map over those and import the files. And so yeah, something like this in Nix that's maybe a bit more generic, where it doesn't use call package, but where you can like give a mapping function perhaps, or have Nix import the files automatically.
Going to be, sorry, the function is going to be called anyway inside Nix, so that's slow anyway. But like reading the folders names and then creating a Nix list that then needs to be passed to like a list to attributes function, that's pretty slow. I mean, Nix could just read dir in C and just generate the attribute set from that. That would be like way faster if that part turns out to be like a performance bottleneck.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, and it would be. I feel like it wouldn't be necessary. It's not like it's like a probably not a huge cost, but we could do that in the future.
Well, I mean, this is going further. Right? If Nix can do that, then you can recover some of the like unsafe get attribute pass and stuff like that also. But
yeah, that's actually.
I'm saying way further than the RFC just here, but why not? It seems like we wanted to do that lots of times.
Yeah, that is actually a good point. So I can get to that. So if you do, I'm just going to show this real quick here. Let's go into like Nixpkgs. Yeah, here. If you use Nix REPL and do a built-in read dir, then we can read the directory here. This thing. But then when we try to get the location of these attributes using unsafe get attributes, so what do we have? .git. That currently doesn't work. It just returns null. It would be nice if that returns like the actual file here, or the actual file where it was read from. Right, and also read dir creates this unnecessary attribute set, which we don't really need in our case. Right, the next built-in to do that better would be nice. Yeah. Gonna add this to the notes. Yeah, unfortunately, Nix edit still works because it doesn't rely on unsafe get attributes. It uses like hello.meta position, I believe. Yeah. All right. I think we have concluded that. I'll see if we can maybe make some issues, or I can amend the RC draft with this. So I guess with this RC draft, I feel like first step is to just finish it. We'll do all the performance measurements, see which approach is the best, sharding or not, reach a decision in the team, and then kind of finish the RC draft internally in the team, and then propose it. Make the decision somewhere, say that we think this is a good idea, then make an RFC to the actual Nix RFC repository and kind of push it through that way. And then I think it's good to go, and we can actually make the change. All right. But yeah, I do not have anything else to discuss for now. Are there still any questions about the current RFC for autocall packages? All right. If there's nothing else, then I guess we can conclude the meeting early today. Yes. So I guess I want to ask Tom, do you have any time or motivation to work on some other issue or on this issue, help out with performance measurements perhaps? I'm also going to ask the other members or other people. Oh, maybe Tom isn't here right now. All right, well, I guess I'll ask him later. But yeah, I think let's conclude the meeting then. Thanks everybody for joining. Hope to see you again in the next one.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, have a good one.